Hello friends and welcome to my channel IB All Designing Developer. So like you all know that in the previous video of C++ we have covered up the video of queues, and I hope you understand that what are queues in C++, how to use it. So today in this video I will be telling you about dequeue in C++, that if we use queues in C++, so there is one other term called dequeue, and why we use dequeue I'll be telling you in this video from start. So I hope you'll be enjoying all the things which we will be learning about dequeue in this video, and I hope you will be also having a difference between queues and dequeue, that why we use dequeue and why we use queues. So we will be having a, like you can say, a difference between both these terms which we have learned or which we will be learning in the other videos as well. So I hope you'll be enjoying this video of dequeue from start, which we will be learning in this video. So if you enjoy this video and if you understand this amazing tutorial here, so remember to hit a like to this video, and if you're new on this channel, want to see more videos like that, so remember to subscribe, and after subscribing hit notification bell so you can get the notifications of all my coming up videos which I'll be uploading on this channel. So now what we are waiting for, let's move to computer screen and let's get started. So now here we are on the computer screen, and like I've told you in the start that today in this video I'll be telling you about dequeue. Basically what is dequeue. In the previous video I have told you about queues, and in that video we have learned that how to use queues, like how to use the header file of queues. So in this video we'll be learning about dequeue, which is the opposite thing of queues. So now if we talk about dequeue, so here it is written in the previous page. You learned that elements in a queue are added at the end and removed from the front. So remember this thing, like in queue the elements are added at the end and it has been removed from front. But in dequeue, a dequeue stands for double-ended queue, however is more flexible as elements can be added and removed from both ends. At the front and the back you can also access elements by index number. So in dequeue it's a different thing. Like in queue you cannot access the elements by index number, but in dequeue you can access the elements by index number, and you can just add the numbers at the front and at the back, and you can also remove the numbers from the front and the back, and that's the difference between queues and dequeue. If we talk about that how to use dequeue, to use a dequeue you have to include the dequeue header file. Like we have already learned that thing in vector in stack, and then we have also covered that thing in queue, that if you want to use that things you need to create the header file of that. So in dequeue as well, when we have to use dequeue we need to create its header file, which will be named as dequeue here. Like this we have to use it in our C++ file, and after doing that we need to create a dequeue. So how you can create a dequeue? So to create a dequeue, use the dequeue keyword and specify the type of values it should store within angle brackets, and then the name of the dequeue, like dequeue type, dequeue name. So first of all you need to use the dequeue keyword to use dequeue, and after that you need to write the type, that what type of dequeue you are using. You are using an integer value, you are using a string. You can write anything, but I'm using a string here in dequeue, so that's why I'll be writing in the type as a string. After that I will be giving my dequeue name. So it can be any name related to your strings which you are creating. Like I am creating a string of cars, so that's why I have written here the dequeue name as cars. So the comment it is written here is create a dequeue called cars that will store strings of cars, and if you are creating any strings of fruits or vegetables, you can write the dequeue name as it is the fruits or vegetables which you are creating. But it's not compulsory to write the same name of strings which you are creating. You can give any other name as well if you want. So if you want to add elements at the time of declaration, place them in a comma separated list inside curly braces. So in queues we cannot add elements at the time of declaration, and same thing goes to vector and stack as well. But if we talk about dequeue, so in dequeue you can place elements, you can say you can add elements at the time of declaration. You need to just add a comma there with a separated list, and you need to do that inside curly braces so that you can add a element at the time of declaration. Like this is Volvo, BMW, Ford and Mazda. These are the cars which I am writing in my strings, and if I want to add any other value in it, I can do that at the time of declaration, and when I will be printing my dequeue elements, I'll be getting the output. And you can just print your strings by using this for value here, or you can say for loop, and you can use some other loops as well, like if loop, for else loop or any other loop, but I will be preferring you to use for loop, which is the easiest method to run any of your elements which you are creating. Like if I am using dequeue, so I can run dequeue by using for loop, or if you are using queue you can run that as well using for loop, because it is the easiest method as I told you. Now if we talk about that how you can access a dequeue, so you can access a dequeue element by referring to the index number inside square brackets. Dequeue are zero indexed, meaning that 0 is the first element, 1 is the second element, and so on. So in the start we have already discussed that in dequeue you can refer the elements using the index number inside square brackets, and in Q you cannot do that, but in DQ you can do that thing. So the first value which will be considered as Volvo, it will be considered as 0, which is the first, and then the second value will be considered as 1, and then it goes so on, like Ford will be 2 and Mazda will be 3, like that. Then the values will be coming moving forward more and more if you are adding in your strings. And if we put like count car 0, so the output you will be getting in your terminal will be Volvo, because the first value which we are getting in our string is Volvo. That's why when you will be printing this value 0, you will be getting the output as Volvo. And you can also access first or last element of a DQ with dot front and dot back functions, because we have already discussed about dot front and dot back functions in previous videos, and I hope you understand that. Like using these two functions you can access first or last element of DQ, but in Qs you can only access the last element of it using front and back functions. But here you can use it to access both front and last element of a string which you are creating. And if you want to access an element at a specific index, you can use the dot add function and specify the index number, so that you can access an element which you want to specify with index, which is specified with index. And you can also just use this dot add function, which is often preferred over square brackets, and it throws an error message if the element is out of range. And that's the way. If you want to change a DQ element, so to change the value of a specific element, you can refer to the index number. So you can just refer the index number as well in your DQ element, so that you can change the value of the specific element you want to change. Like if I'm writing Volvo in my string, and if I want to change that value, so I can refer to that index number and I can change the value of Volvo. And that's the way to do that. And if you want to add different DQ elements in your strings, you can add it using this dot push front and dot push back, so that you can add the elements at the front, and by using this dot pushback you can add the elements at the last of your string. And that's the way to do. But these things are not important. The first thing which is really important is to add DQ, to add elements in a string, that how we can add it and how to just start with DQ. That was the important thing which we have already discussed at the top. And if you want to remove DQ elements, like if I'm writing Volvo, BMW, Ford and Mazda, these are the string values which I'm getting the output in my terminal. And if I want that this Mazda should be deleted from my DQ element, so for that I will be using dot pop front and I'll be using dot pop back. If I want to remove this Mazda, I will be using dot pop back, so that from the last string which I am getting here is Mazda. So the last element which I am getting in my string is Mazda. It will be removed by using this dot pop back. And if I'm using this dot pop front, so it means that the first element which you are getting in your string, it will be deleted from your string, and it is Volvo. So if I'm printing this, so my Volvo output will be not coming, only BMW, Ford and Mazda will be coming, because it will be removing this Volvo element which we are getting in our string. And if you want to use if you want to see the size of your DQ, you can use it by using this dot size function, and we have already discussed in other videos as well. And all the other things like check if our DQ is empty and loop through our DQ, it is same like in the previous video we have discussed in Q. So I hope you understand that how you can just print a DQ here and how to start with DQ. So what I'm going to do is now I will be opening my Replit IDE, because we were just discussing all that things in our Replit IDE, you all know that, and we were doing all the practical works in our Replit IDE here. I'll be opening it, and I'll be opening my REPL here, which is Qs, and I will be changing here the name of my REPL, and I'll be changing here to as DQ, because we are learning about DQ in this video. And I will be pressing enter. After doing it, you can just see we are getting all the things here. And now I will be just writing first thing, which is include IOStream. So I'll be writing hashtag include IOStream, because when you're working with C++, this is really important thing to write. And after that, we need to include DQ here. So I'll be writing DQ. And then I will be using namespace std, and here I will be writing main, so that I can write all the things here. After that, what I'm going to do is now I will be just moving on to my file here. And after doing it, I will be just now copying this thing, which is this example, Control Z, and then I'll be copying it here, paste it, and this is the method to create a DQ called cars. Now here, if I show you, what I'm going to do is I'll be just copying this, and now I will be printing my DQ elements by using this for loop here. So I will be just copying these all things here, and I will be pasting it here. So you can just see we have added our DQ elements here, and we have also added the string value, and we have used this for loop to print this string, or you can say to print this DQ. We have used this for loop here, and now if I run to check my thing is running or not. So what I'm going to do is I'll be pressing this run button here. After running, you can just see, if I show you, we are getting nothing in the output because we have to wait, and after that you can just see these 4 things has been printed, which is Volvo, BMW, Ford and Mazda. So we are getting our DQ element successfully running, and now we have to check if I'm deleting or if I'm adding DQ element, so it is working or not. So what I'm going to do is I'll be moving on to my Word document again, and I will be just moving on to my file. If I just show you, this is the thing here. So now if you want to output this Volvo, which is the first element in our string, so for that I will be using cars 0 because Volvo is the first value here and 0 will be considered as first value. So I'll be just pasting this thing here, and after that I will be just running it. After running, if I just show you, you can see it is giving me error because I have not closed this thing here. If I run it, so you can just see we are getting Volvo printed, but I am also printing this, that's why we are getting 2 times Volvo here. But if I remove this thing and only if I use this count, and if I return the value as 0 now, and then if I just save it and if I run here, so you can just see the only output which we are getting is now Volvo, because now we have used this count cars 0. And if I just use this count cars 1, so now the output which you will be getting will be BMW, because Volvo will be considered as 0 and BMW will be considered as 1, and then this thing goes on and on. So if I just run it and if I see what output I'm getting here now, so you can just see now the output which I'm getting is BMW, and like that you can add and remove elements. So now we have to understand if I'm using index number, so how we are just getting the values, we have understand that, but now we have to also understand if I'm adding elements, so how you can do that. So for doing that thing, you have to just use this dot cars front. I'll be using this here, and I will be removing this, and then I will be pasting this thing. And if I just run it here, you can just see we are getting Volvo printed here, because now the front element which I'm getting here is been Volvo, that's why I'm getting it. But if in this curly bracket, if I write here like in the place of Volvo, if I write Audi like this, so now the car name will be changed to Audi, means this Volvo will be changed to Audi, and you will be getting this printed, I think. If I run it here, you can just see we are getting an error. So I can just change only like this if I do that, and if I run it to check what I'm getting in the output. Alright, so we can only print this Volvo here by using this dot front. If I do that, you can just see the Volvo is printed. If I write in the place of dot front dot back, so now the back thing means the last element which we are getting in our string is Mazda. That's why when I will be running it, you will be getting the output as Mazda. If I run it, you can just see the output we are getting is printed as Mazda. And like this, you can use different DQs in C++. So I hope you understand this video in which we have discussed about DQ in C++. So if you have understand this video and if you enjoyed this amazing tutorial here, so remember to hit a like to this video. And if you're new on this channel, want to see more videos like that, so remember to subscribe, and after subscribing, hit notification bell so you can get the notifications of all my coming up videos which I'll be uploading in future. So now I'll be meeting you in next tutorial in future. So for today, goodbye.